got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
Thanks for dropping by for another episode of Trending Fantasy. Don't forget to check out the rest of the channel. Make sure you like the video, subscribe so you don't miss anything that's ever posted on the DD Fantasy Football YouTube channel. And don't forget to head on over to ddfantasyfootball.com. Link is in the episode description below. Use code THEORY, 50% off the all access and Discord plan. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, Mitch, rookie picks. Everybody loves them. Everybody wants to talk about them. There are several things that we can do with our rookie picks. We can hold them and make the pick, but that's just boring to say right now in January. Or wait, it's February. I don't even know what month it is anymore. So you can hold and make the pick. You can split up the pick into multiple assets, make a move by packaging up, kind of a larger hodgepodge type deal that just has a ton of pieces involved. Kick the can down the road, move for future draft capital, or, and this is what we're going to be focusing on tonight, a straight swap for a veteran. And I want to look at the larger conversation. This is going to be a very fast-paced episode. There's going to be a lot going on here in 20-25 minutes. We'll see if we stick to that. But there is a larger conversation at play here. But we want to use specific trades that are currently being done in actual leagues. And these are included on dynastydaddy.com. We always talk about Dynasty Daddy. Jeremy does a fantastic job there. Go check it out. And if there are any specific trades you either have made, you're thinking about making, or maybe you're just trying to gauge the value, drop it in the comments and we'll be sure to get back to you. So, Mitch, we're going to be talking about mid-25 first. Like, this could be a 50-episode series, but we solely want to focus on that 105 to 108 range and kind of talk about what we are comfortable moving them for, and then what players we'd be comfortable moving away to acquire those picks. So you and I have both taken part in a ton of mock drafts, whether it's within the DD Discord, whether it's on the DD Fantasy Football YouTube channel. This middle of the first, how are you viewing it? And just for conversation here, keep this in the back of your mind. 12 team super flex, 1.75 or 2 PPR for tight ends.
Yeah, more than fair. This is the range that I want to buy into. I think there's very strong players that are here that I think the quarterbacks are being extremely discounted in this class. And so there's some players you're already going to mention that I'm really happy that we could kind of hit on real quick, because I really like the 105 to the 110, 111 in this draft class.
And we talked about this so many times. If you have, and that's kind of why I wanted to gear towards the middle of the first, because if you have the 101, 102, 103, 104, a lot of folks are going to be thinking, hey, maybe it makes sense to move back if I can pick up additional draft capital. And oftentimes it's easier said than done. So maybe next week we look at it from that approach. If you have an early pick, can you move back to the middle of the first, and what can you expect? But strictly looking at tonight, we're going to use 17 different trades to kind of just guide us through. And you're thinking 17 trades in 17 minutes here. Can these guys do it? Yes, we can. So first up, Mitch, this is a 12-team Superflex start 11 full PPR extra point for tight ends. Would you move the 25 first for 105 for Michael Penix straight up?
Yeah, so I'm going to put a name to a lot of these picks. So, when we're doing these, that's just how my head works. So Shedeur Sanders is my 105 right now. I think at worst, he's Michael Penix. And I think his upside is just as high as Penix. And so I'm willing to take the gamble on the rookie and hope for a lot higher of an upside, because I think his floor is Michael Penix at worst.
Now, this is something I was thinking about earlier. You have the 105. If you move it for Michael Penix, you presumably need a quarterback, and you have Michael Penix maybe valued a little bit over the quarterbacks, or you're of the mindset the quarterbacks are going to go 102, 103, 104. So you could put a different spin on it there. But oftentimes, if I move the 105 for Michael Penix, the person that has Penix
Mm-hmm.
probably has an excess quarterback. So you're probably not going to see that person draft Shedeur Sanders.
Or they were the guy who took Penix at the 201 and they're willing to get out that 105 value. So yeah, maybe you're right. They're not going to go get Sanders, but I would take Henderson over him. I take Hampton over him. I take Tet over Penix. And so I'm not getting Penix on this side of the deal.
Okay. And then I saw a trade happen, and I know the guys on the All Gas Trade Show, also on the DD Fantasy Football YouTube channel, they broke it down. It was 104 for Michael Penix, but obviously a very similar range here.
Yes.
Let's go over to the wide receiver position, Mitch. 12-team Superflex, start 10, no PPR, and then 1.5 for tight ends. So the really interesting format.
Yeah.
105 and 205 for Drake London.
And no PPR. Like if this was a PPR league, I'm taking Drake London, no hesitation. In 0 PPR, I'm not touching a wide receiver. But you also kind of have to pray that one of the running backs you like is still there, because you're not going to see Tet go above him. So that 105 can be a little bit of a risky spot. And you end up having to take one of the quarterbacks because you have 4 running backs go before him. So I will take the 105 and the 205 here, but it's solely because of no PPR. Like I said, in a real PPR league, I'm smashing Drake London.
What about half PPR?
Half, I'm going Drake.
Okay. But that's where I think it gets more
Yes.
interesting, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's move over. Still 105. So we're going to work our way back here. 105 or James Cook, 12-team Superflex, full PPR.
We talked about James Cook a couple weeks ago. I love all the touchdowns he's got. It's not going to repeat next year. He actually had like a worse year if you look at every other statistic besides touchdowns. So I'm taking the 105.
All right. And it gives you that more flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to look at your roster construction. If, again, some of these trades, maybe that's an excess running back and you're able to move off and maybe attack the wide receiver or quarterback, or, in a tight end premium league, maybe you're looking at Tyler Warren. Trevor Lawrence or 105, 12-team Superflex.
I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence here. I just think his upside's there. I know Liam Cohen kind of had the weird press conference, whatever it was. Yeah, that was perfect. That was spot on. I mean, but I'm not going to hate on the guy for it. I think he's still going to be a very good head coach. And Trevor Lawrence does have the athletic ability to be a top 7 quarterback. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. But I think there's a strong chance of it happening. So I'm willing to take that gamble, Trevor Lawrence, especially because he's tied to Brian Thomas Jr. He's tied to Evan Ingram's going to be there. More than likely, they're moving off of Christian Kirk. But they're going to be able to add skill positions around him, either through free agency or through the draft. And so I think that spot's only going to get better.
I'm waiting for Chris Godwin to follow Liam Cohen.
Oh,
Christian Kirk out, Chris Godwin in. We'll see if that plays out. One more for the 105. Mm-hmm. And it comes down to if you view Bucky Irving the same as James Cook, but it's Bucky Irving for the 105, 12-team Superflex, full PPR.
Look, I'm not a Bucky Irving guy. Like I appreciate what he did in that office this past year. I don't know if he's going to replicate and be valued higher than all these other rookie running backs that are coming in, even come August or September if this upcoming season. So I'll be happy to get out and grab one of the rookies instead.
Okay. At what point, from a running back perspective, do you prefer the running back over the 105?
Oh, why are you doing this to me? All right, let's go to the 105. You're saying which running back would I take over the 105?
Yeah, so Bijan, Gibbs, yeah. Achane, Barkley, Hall, JT.
You're kind of looking at JT. JT is the cutoff there. And then I could probably talk myself into Kyren, depending on what we see with the Rams the next month, because it sounds like they're kind of remaking their offense. But that's definitely the cutoff, because I would take the 105 over Josh Jacobs, Irving, Walker, any of those guys.
I also don't think it's crazy to see Cooper Kupp maybe land with Liam Cohen. Cohen was there in
that's a good point.
San Fran. Where did San Fran come from? He was with the Rams a few years back as the He was the OC, but like OC, with McVay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where
coordinator.
Yeah. So that's where we are in the running back position compared to the rookie pick at 105. Now moving on to 106. In this one, I cheated a little bit because there is an extra player, but 106 and Demario Douglas for T. Higgins, 12 teams, start 10, half PPR.
I'm going T. Higgins. I think his upside is still to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. And that's even if he still stays with the Bengals. I mean, if he goes somewhere else, becomes a wide receiver 1, then his value is going to go up that much more. But I like T. Higgins a lot more than the hope I could have with the rookie at 106.
Okay. And I'm the same way. I have T. Higgins over every wide receiver in this class as we sit here, not January, February 5th.
Yes. Again,
I'm lucky I know what year it is, let alone what month. And then if we're looking at the running back position, T. Higgins is an excess wide receiver on this team. You're targeting a running back. Like, what running back would need to be there for you to have interest? Is it Hampton, Caleb Johnson?
Yeah. I mean, Trey Henderson, depending on where he goes, it sounds like that hype is just continually building.
Oh, he's skyrocketing.
Yeah. And so I could definitely see him going higher than the 106. But if he was there, I could, depending on landing spot, but that's the cutoff. I mean, that's if these 4 running backs that, we have GNT, Hampton, Johnson, and Henderson, that's hoping they all get really good landing spots as well. We've seen in the NFL draft that not happening more often than it actually does happen for us.
I always say it, but if you would have told me before the NFL draft that Zach Charbonnet was going to get second-round draft capital, oh my God. But then it was behind another second-round running back in Kenneth Walker. All right, going back to the running back position here. 106 and 306 for Kyren Williams, 12 teams, start 11, full PPR.
Yeah, here at the 106, I like this deal for both sides. If I'm a contender and I feel strong about it, I'm going Kyren Williams. If I'm more in a rebuild, I'm happy to get off Kyren Williams for the 106. But yeah, if I'm a mid-team to a contender, I'll take Kyren.
Okay. And then a little bit better deal here, but moving for a wide receiver, 106 and 204 for Garrett Wilson. 12 teams, start 11, full PPR, super flex.
We don't even know who the quarterback's going to be for the Jets right now. So if I can get out of Garrett Wilson for the 106, I'm going to do it. Well, like if Kirk Cousins goes there, it doesn't make me feel any better. If Aaron Rodgers goes back, I'm not feeling good about that spot. So I could take the rookie hype with the 106 and get the 204 on top of it.
Now, can I ask you, going back to the T. Higgins deal, would that change it at all because it's 106 and 204 for T. Higgins?
That would make it a lot closer. It would.
Because I have T. Higgins and Garrett Wilson tiered together, and obviously this isn't a veteran tier discussion, but I just thought that was an interesting dynamic there with those two trade scenarios. All right. We have a 12-team start, 10 full PPR. Again, all these are super flex. And then we get the extra half point for tight ends, 107 and 403 for Jameson Williams and 301.
Get me out of Jameson, man. Like, I'm a Lions fan. I love what he does on the field. There's just enough reoccurring issues that I'm willing to get out of it. And who knows how well he does without Ben Johnson leading the way there. Maybe the new OC and Morton does a good job. Maybe he doesn't. And maybe they turn into a more rushing game. Maybe they start to target the tight end again with Laporta. Who knows? So if you could get the 107 and get out of Jameson, I'm doing that every day.
Yeah, there are, after we get through top 18-ish receivers, I would take the 107 over every receiver then.
Yeah, that's fair.
Again, just gives you that increased flexibility. And I do think, and the reason this conversation came up, again, trending fantasy, it's something that we see either on X, Reddit, or an in-depth discussion from the DD Fantasy Discord. And that's where this came from. A really great conversation talking about the value of these picks. And if we believe they were going to continue to rise in value like we typically see, or if because they're so lowly valued in general right now, and there's kind of a stink about this class because it's being compared to such a great 2024 class, and there is no comparison.
Yeah,
that they might continue to decrease in value. So that's kind of why this popped up, and I do think it's a great conversation. 107 for Alvin Kamara and Darnell Mooney. Now, we don't need an answer here, but that just shows you, I think once we're like, you see the last trade with 107 involving Jameson Williams, the next one, 107, 203, and 307 for Isaiah Pacheco. Like, this is buying territory, folks. Maybe not so much with the first 6 picks, but it seemed based on these trades that we're discussing, there is a little bit of a tier break, and I don't think there should be.
No, yeah. So for me, you could change that to the 111. I'm gonna take the 111 over every single one of those players too.
I don't mind that, at all. All right, 107 for Chase Brown. And
this one's tough because I really fell in love with Chase Brown, but like I said, I think that 107's undervalued. But I think I just have a feeling that the Bengals are going to draft a running back. But I'm thinking that it's not going to affect Chase Brown, but it's really hard to say that in February, right? I think right now, gun to head, I'm taking Chase Brown over the 107, but this one's the closest one for me yet.
For me, I would, and I think a trade like this came up several weeks ago because you and Dan went Chase Brown, and the way I am, my answer was like, and I don't know if this will spark your memory, but I was like 80% of the time I'll take the pick, 20% of the time I'll take Chase Brown. And I think you yelled at me for a cop-out answer, and it was deserved. It was very well deserved. But I would go the pick there. But I think that's where it gets a little interesting. Like, I much prefer Chase Brown over Isaiah Pacheco.
Agreed.
Jameson Williams, like that type of situation. DeVonta Smith for the 107, 407, and 26 fourth. 12 teams, start 10, full PPR, super flex, extra point for tight ends.
Yeah, for me, I feel like we know what DeVonta Smith is now. He's a really good wide receiver 2 in the NFL. He's a good back end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in fantasy weekly. I'm going to take that 107 and hope to hit the upside. That's what I'm going to try to do. You could play it safe with DeVonta Smith, and I completely understand that. For me, I'm going to take a little bit of the riskier approach on that 107.
Now I know, and I'm looking at my cross-positional tiers, which are part of the DD Fantasy Football Discord, Code Theory, link below, 50% off first month. Get in there, check it out. $7. Come on. But I'm looking at my tier with DeVonta Smith, and I have George Pickens right under him in green because he's coming in at Fantasy Calc wide receiver 26. Maybe move DeVonta Smith for that 107. See if you get George Pickens for an early second, and I think that's a win.
Yeah.
Is it possible? I'm sure we're going to see comments saying you're not getting George Pickens for an early second, and very well might be the case.
So the thing with Pickens on KTC, everyone that hates him is going to make him the cut, right? Because they just hate him. And so it ends up dropping him down more. And so I just think Pickens is one of those players that anybody has him, you're probably not getting him for a second, but his value is always going to be lower because the people without him aren't looking to go and buy him. I think Jameson's getting really close to being that same range too.
Got through 105 to 107. I personally have all 3 of those picks tiered together in 12-team super flex, tight end premium. Now we're getting into the 108, and I do have a tier break. So I think this is maybe where it gets interesting. But Trevor Lawrence, and it seems like he's the quarterback that's getting moved for these picks. Trevor Lawrence in 212 for 108 and 207. So 108 and a 5-pick bump there in the second.
Yeah, I'm taking Trevor Lawrence.
That one, yes, that was one of the easier ones for me. Like we're talking about Penix or the 105. I was Lawrence over the 105.
Yeah.
So certainly for the 108.
Yeah.
If anything, and I don't have him in green on the sheets because he still falls in that tier for the most part where he should be valued. This episode right now, 20 minutes in, it's telling me maybe I should explore Trevor Lawrence acquisitions.
I think so.
And this is post Liam Cohen.
Yeah. No, I think he's going to be a strong buy all year. I think him and Dak are going to be the best 2 quarterbacks you could buy.
Dak's always a good buy.
At value.
Come on.
Yeah.
At value, yes. All right, last 2, both for the 108 straight up. 12-team super flex, start 10, full PPR. One was DK Metcalf. One was Jaylen Waddle.
This one is, for me, I think there's a lot of people that are going to pick the proven players. But for me, I think Waddle has the highest upside out of the two, but I can't trust Waddle weekly. And there's a lot of people who won't buy into Waddle. And so I'm going to go the 108 on both of these, but I do think there's probably a little bit more value on the player side.
We wanted to run through some of these mid-first round picks. Again, let us know in the comments whether you disagree on any of these trades, whether you agree, whether you have questions, whether you have a trade that's in your inbox and you're like, I don't know if that player is necessarily worth that rookie pick. Drop it in the comments. We will get back to you as soon as we can. And then if you're looking for conversations 24/7, ddfantasyfootball.com. Use the link in the episode description. Use code Theory, 50% off for the all access tier and the Discord community. This has been a good, fantastic episode. Next week, I do think I want to talk about, we'll put another spin on the rookie picks, kind of like this. And if there's any other topics that you folks want to hear, we have a ton of great content and content creators here at ddfantasyfootball.com. Let us know in the comments what you want us to talk about. We are here for the people. For Mitch Sorensen, I'm John Bauer. This is Trending Fantasy, and we'll catch you next week.